So bless me to welcome on now top 25 recruit and ESPN's second top 25 for 2023, TJ Powell. How are you doing, man?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Well, this has kind of been an exciting time, I can imagine. You've been blowing up since June. Now you're in the rankings. Just take us through what it feels like to be in your shoes right now.
Yeah, it's definitely really cool to see all the work that I've put in since I was a little kid, coming to fruition and people starting to kind of notice me on a national scale. So just like staying humbled with it and like remembering where I came from and continuing to put in the work. But at the same time, like staying in the moment and enjoying it because you only go through this once, this whole recruiting process. So
And everyone's high school journey is different, especially the recruiting process is always different. Some guys kind of start in middle school and start getting those offers. Some wait until the very last time. Yours really just blew up all of a sudden. June comes around, you get your very first offer from two solid programs, and then the high majors get involved. And now you're sitting on a spot where you have 10 or so offers right now. What's it been like getting used to this and just having these coaches want you and offer you?
yeah, the summer was pretty busy once things started picking up, but like you said, just staying in touch with the coaches has been, it's been a lot, but it's fun. It's kind of what kids dream of this age is having to not go hang out with friends because you got a call with a coach later on. It's not a bad problem to have at all. So it's just been cool. People like coaches I see on TV and watching the sidelines, just and then having like a Zoom call with them and learn about their program. It's been really fun. Just to take the whole thing in and kind of look at it from like a player standpoint.
Let's go back a little further. You're in May. You're still sitting on the table with no offers right now. What was your thoughts? What do you think? Do you see the offers coming in sometime soon? Did you think you'd be blowing up soon? Kind of what was your thoughts back in May before everything settled in?
Yeah, just kind of stay the course. I thought I was in a good spot with people around me as far as with BABC and Leah Papil, who's been huge for me this whole recruiting process. Once my high school season ended and we started some practices for that, he's seen like how much I grew in that year and developed. And then he just kind of reached out to the coaches and we sent some film and finished up some of the highlights of my high school season and sent those out as well. And then, yeah, I just kind of took off just through him, I guess, through Leo. He was able to get my name out there and school started to hit me up. So,
As I mentioned, now you even worked your way into the top 25 now for ESPN. And rankings might not mean everything, but it's still just kind of a sense of acknowledgement. It's just a cool thing to be able to have behind your name. Take us through when did you find that out? How did you find out? And what was like just knowing you were ranked now?
yeah, I didn't even know, like, no one contacted me saying, you're going to be on this list. I was in class actually. I think it was last Thursday, and I just started getting all these texts and like people were tagging me and stuff. And I was like, wait, what's going on? And I checked my phone. I saw my name on the list and it was cool. It was just kind of hard to focus in class the rest of the day because I was just like always wanted to check my phone and see what was going on. But yeah, like you said, it's a great feeling of acknowledgement just to see people really starting to recognize you on a larger scale. But um, it doesn't change my plans or anything like that as far as continuing to get better and putting in the work. And just because that number got put next to my name on Thursday, it didn't mean that I got all that better. Just it's just that acknowledgement factor.
Who was the first person you texted or told when you found out you were ranked?
Yeah, I showed my mom. She came downstairs once my class was over,
Mhm.
and I didn't even say anything. I just handed her my phone with the list open, and she went to the other room and put her reading glasses on, like all moms do, and checked out the list and saw my name. And we were just kind of, she was freaking out more than I was because she was just happy for me. And then I just started texting my friends and stuff like that. But I just got a huge wave of support, really, from a lot of people from my past and a lot of my coaches and stuff like that. So it was cool to see.
Now you stayed busy. COVID shut down a lot of stuff in the country, but you've stayed busy. You made a big move. You were originally at St. John's. We spent your first 2 years of high school. You make the decision to reclass, go to Worcester. Take us through this move. What really went to the reclassification process and also what led to the transfer?
Yeah. So I live about 10 minutes from Worcester Academy, and my sister went there 2 years before me. She graduated, but and she played basketball there as well. So I kind of know the program and I'm familiar with it. And I went to the NEPSAC games all the time, and I really liked, the pace and speed and the strength and how evolved that whole league really is. So I wanted to be a part of that. And I figured if I can stay close to home and join a great program like Worcester Academy, then that's what I wanted to do. So just kind of when I finished up my St. John's season, I just started looking at all the options and narrowed it down to a couple, and then had some good talks with Coach Sullivan at Worcester Academy and chose that. But the whole reclass decision um, was kind of based off of the whole COVID situation this summer, as
Mhm.
far as you know, and we've seen it play out now. It's just so we didn't have a season. I didn't want to have to miss a whole junior year. It's a pretty important year. So I just figured, I'd reclass, take all my junior year classes, see how it all plays out. If we have games or a limited season or something like that. And then, if I needed to, my senior year, I could reclass back up. Or if I don't want to, if we do end up missing a season and I want the extra year, then I can take it. But I just wanted to make sure that I was still going to challenge myself in the classroom with it. So I decided, I'll take all the right classes and I'll keep putting in work. And it's played out well now with the list and everything. But when I made the move, I stressed to everyone that like the move was never about getting a higher ranking or getting more offers, because at the time I was already talking to some pretty good schools. So for me it was just the whole COVID situation, and then on top of that having an extra year to grow and get stronger and improve my game.
Would you say the bigger reason for the transfer was because you could reclassify? Was that kind of the biggest moving piece for in terms of the transfer? Or is that kind of just once you got and made the transfer, that coaching staff over there kind of talked to you about the reclass option?
No, I think a lot of the schools that I talked to, they left the reclass option up to me. Even if a few of them like didn't want me to reclass,
Mhm.
um, just because they felt like I was in a good spot. But yeah, I think the move to prep school is more about the league itself
Mhm.
than it was about getting that extra year. I just thought it was time to kind of get put myself in a place where I'm getting challenged every day by my own teammates, and then having those competitive games against those top schools. And then I just saw the whole COVID thing kind of coming, and I decided I'm gonna take a step back, see how it plays out and then reclass.
I'm a big advocate for that. I think we see a ton more guys now making this move to play at a national schedule, play prep, play whatever it is to get more and more competition. That's where we're gonna be going now. We're gonna be playing a lot of guys that are ranked, guys that are elite players. You're gonna go up against not just at practice, but also games throughout the year. How excited are you for that to really start getting developed and play in that system and playing that kind of league?
Definitely. I'm super excited. We've had Zoom calls almost every week with the team, and I know all the guys are itching to get back on campus so we can start practicing and going at it. But I just think it's going to be competitive for sure, and it's going to get me a lot better. But I also think it's going to be fun to kind of see how all this work over this whole pandemic is going to play into that season this year. And then, I put a lot of trust in my coach to put me in good positions during the year to, you know, help me get better and help the team win games. So I'm excited for that as well. I think I'm gonna have more of a ball handling position this year role on my team. Not playing point guard or anything, but just being able to have like that freedom and have some confidence with my dribbling and taking the shots that I need to help us.
So has your team been able to meet up yet? Have you guys practiced before, or will this be the first time you guys get back on campus?
So we did some outdoor work in the fall, just on the blacktop on campus, which was it was more that it's kind of hard to see like judge our team off of that, but it was definitely fun just to get some like camaraderie and chemistry going.
Yeah.
So that was pretty fun. And then the week before we left for Thanksgiving break, we had our first week of indoor practices, which was amazing. Just kind of all that built up energy from the whole summer and fall, and we finally got to go out and play. And just it was just cool to see, all these high level kids on my own team, and I can look to my left and look to my right and just know that like, these kids are gonna make me better every day. And then at the same time, like these are my friends from classes and stuff like that. So it's just a cool situation.
You brought up the work that you want to be able to display that you worked on during the COVID time and lockdown time. And I read about you. A lot of people, coaches refer to you as a gym rat. You always like working out in the gym. But you personally, what would you say is the biggest things you keyed in on or worked on during the pandemic that you really are excited to go show this season?
Yeah, I think the main thing was just working on my body first off. Um, I stayed in the weight room a lot and working on pliability and stuff like that and getting my speed up. So just being able to showcase that because that kind of factors into every aspect of the game. And then I worked with my dad probably every night when the gyms were closed. We had a little outdoor court with lights and everything. And some of the main, like we were watching the bubble playoffs at the time, and some of the main stuff we focused on, like we were watching the Heat. We were doing a lot of like Duncan Robinson, pin downs and coming off for screens and stuff like that, and Tyler Hero. So just the big thing that me and my dad stress is just like thinking differently. A lot of people go into the gyms and they just start doing two ball dribbling and stuff like that. But for me, I think it's like the little fundamentals and the little things that it's going to make a difference in the end. So whether it's, sometimes we start off, I just do floaters for like 30 minutes, different angles off the backboard, and then maybe bumping off him and absorbing some contact. And, like Kyrie Irving, I've seen him do some warm up stuff where he just sits under the hoop for a good like half an hour, just working on the angles off the backboard. So just stuff like that, really. Putting myself in like awkward positions because in the game, sometimes you can't really dictate, where you're going to go, what you're going to be able to do. So just being able to move in those spots and feel comfortable.
There are a lot of different sources that have you at different heights right now. Some people say you're 6'8", 6'9". Have you measured yourself recently? Where exactly do you go at height wise right now?
Yeah, so I'm 6'8". But when I talk to a lot of the coaches, they're like, "How tall are you?" And I'm like 6'8". But when I wear shoes in the game, I'm like 6'9", 6'9.5", and they're like, "Well, you play the game with shoes." Uh, so a lot of times they just count me at 6'9". But yeah, if someone asked me, I'd probably say 6'8".
Now, as you mentioned, you plan on running a little bit more guard, not necessarily point guard, but more of the shooting guards to kind of roll, combo even maybe. How do you plan to be able to incorporate that? Because that is the definition of a big guard. We see a lot more guys doing that. How have you been able to get the guard skills that being your height?
Yeah, I think it started from a young age for me personally. Sometimes I would sacrifice level of play growing up to play the right position. As far as maybe I'd go play in a church league and I'd just play point guard, and get the ball stolen from me 100 times because that's what's going to translate. Because now I don't get it stolen from me 100 times. So just kind of learning through my mistakes growing up, and then combining that with polishing my dribbling when we go shoot around or when we have workouts. Or I have a great trainer at Worcester Academy as well who has a lot of great ball handling stuff. And I think a lot of it is not just being a good dribbler, but using that to get you where you need to go in the games. As far as like you can be a good dribbler, but maybe the best dribbler at that time is the person who dribbles the least, as far as get less dribbles to get up the court and get through the lane. So just thinking about it differently once again. Just approaching it from different angles, and playing in, even at Worcester, playing these smaller, faster guards who are going to kind of get under me and force me to dribble past them and stuff like that. So
We see more and more too. I mentioned the bigger guards, and people can obviously see that guys that are truly point guards, 6 foot, 6'1" guys, can't really run too many other positions. But a guy like you now learn to guard the shooting guard. You can run small forward because of your height. You can even go power forward or center too. You kind of can be a guy that runs all over the court, all positions. How have you learned to become so versatile on the court?
yeah, I just kind of been blessed with like being able to move within my body frame. You sometimes you see a lot of guys who just have like a growth spurt and it's kind of awkward for them to move around, but I've kind of grown pretty proportional. And so just like adapting to my body has grown over time, and being able to focus on mobility first has been a big thing for me. And then like you said, with the versatility of positions, I would play like in probably 7 different leagues growing up, and maybe in 3 of them I'd play point guard and the other one I'd play center.
Mm.
And so like when a push comes to shove in the big time leagues and knapsack like games, then I can kind of have both of those in my repertoire and be able to mix and match and um, create bad matchups for the other team.
Who are some guys in the NBA you might watch that you kind of take pieces from? I think you mentioned Duncan Robinson earlier. Who are some other guys you kind of like watching that you like taking pieces from their game and put them into yours?
Yeah, like I said, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero. I really like watching like Luka Doncic too. Just I think he has a really good feel for the game as far as getting other people involved and facilitating. But at the same time, knowing when he needs to go score the ball. And then I think like every basketball player should watch LeBron James because
Mhm.
even if you might not have that body type or that ability, you can always take something from the IQ that he has. And so just kind of watching him and seeing how he moves, and one of the main things I take from him, especially this year, like having a good team, is just not trying to do too much, and like seeing the people around you and knowing how to use them, because I think that's a very important part of the game. And I think coaches who come watch kids play, they can kind of tell, like this kid knows when to slow it down and when to speed it up and control the game.
This will be your sophomore year, third year of high school now. What's your expectations for you to say this was a successful year for you? What do you want to achieve, accomplish personally as a team for it to be a successful year for you?
Yeah, I think as a team, the goal, I don't know, we'll have playoffs this year, but I think the goal is definitely go undefeated. And I think we have a good team. So I think we'll be able to do that. If we stay within ourselves and, keep putting the work in. And then personally, I mean, I'm not really going to set any statistic goals for me. Um, last year, I think I averaged like 18 points, but, people who actually came to the games realized that I do a whole lot of other stuff as well, as far as rebounds and blocks and getting other people involved and just being like a defensive anchor in the paint and just like a presence, really. And so I think my personal goal is just have our team be better, like when I'm on the floor. Because I think I even talked to a coach the other day who said, you know, coaches they're not going to come and look at your stats. They're going to come and watch and see when you're on the floor, how does your team change from when you're off the floor? And like even the energy, I think just being vocal with my teammates and showing them like I'm going to be there to help guide them, and they're going to reciprocate that back to me as well. So.
We're able to get into the core and play some different kind of games this past fall or summertime, and one of them was for cancer research. Kind of take us through that, what that was like, and explain that a little bit.
Yeah. So later in the summer, this is my first year doing it. So the one of the CEO of the whole organization, Mike Salonina, he he DM'd me on Instagram and said, we have this event coming up in November. It's for a great cause, for the charity fund for cancer research at Mass General, and I was like, yeah, I'm all for it. Anytime I can kind of use my own platform to raise money to help other people is just a plus as far as basketball goes. So I just started reaching out to people and posted some stuff on Instagram and just saying, hey, you know, this is a great cause. You can really help me, and it kind of took off. I ended up raising around $2,000, and I think you needed like 1,000 to participate in the event. And then November came around and it was a lot of fun. They did a great job. They put a lot of work in as far as meeting all the standards as far as COVID. They had to change a lot of stuff. So when we got there, it was a smooth event and really like well run, and it was a lot of fun. And then in the end, it's all for a great cause. So it's just all around like amazing.
Absolutely. And I also believe you played baseball. I think you did quite a bit during the lockdown pandemic too. Take us through that.
Yeah, people. I mean, now the recruitment blowing up for basketball. Some people kind of overlook the baseball part, but I love baseball ever since I was a little kid playing little league, and I still play it. I'm a lefty pitcher,
Mm-hmm.
and so as far as like which I like better, I think basketball just kind of has its own place at the top right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think I love both sports, but I think the grind of basketball is something that like I never hate. Like every time I'm in the gym, that's where I want to be. Like I wouldn't be anywhere else in the world at that point. But baseball is definitely something that I'm gonna keep working at. And then I've talked to a lot of schools actually that said, you can come here and play baseball and basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was pretty cool just to hear that. That's definitely something I would be interested in, if it was the right situation. But I'm not going to sacrifice, playing basketball at the school I want to go to if they don't let me play baseball,
Yeah.
because basketball's like my top priority. But yeah, no, thanks for bringing that up. A lot of people kind of forgot about that, but
And that was gonna be my next question. You kind of answered it then, but we see more and more guys are training in many different sports and they are able to play different sports. It could be football, basketball, basketball, whatever that mix up is. And you kind of talk about that. So is that something you would want to do? Have the opportunities align? Would you want to be able to play basketball and baseball at the college level?
yeah, no, I think I would definitely. I'm kind of turning into a pitcher only at the point at this moment. And so I think, a lot of guys have struggle with it because they have to go to the batting cages and hit and take ground balls and do all this work. But I think for a pitcher, I've seen it done before at the college level. It's been pretty successful. So just, focusing on basketball, but then getting in like your bullpens and any pitcher work that you need to do. And I think it would just like kind of open my eyes, and kind of, I think it's always good to, I know a lot of kids who get run down by just going basketball all the time. So just having that like escape if I ever need it, to go out in the field and just run around and have fun doing what I love with baseball too.
And that's something that's hard. I know for anyone that plays any sport, a lot of hours, a lot of time goes into your craft. How have you learned to be able to incorporate both working on your baseball game, but also working on basketball and really balance all that stuff and the amount of time it takes?
Yeah, it's definitely been tough. But I think it's just kind of a mental thing. A lot of people, like I've had a lot of parents come to me and be like, I don't know how you do it, whether it's like leaving a basketball tournament mid game to go play a baseball tournament somewhere else. But I think it's mentally just kind of not getting tired of it. Like if you really love something, I think you'll do whatever it takes to make it happen. And so I think what's helped me is just having a lot of coaches who've been supportive of it. I've had to sacrifice missing a lot of baseball games and missing a lot of basketball games to go play one or the other. And coaches kind of understand. And I think, especially when I was younger, they want kids to be kids. I even played I played football my freshman year of high school,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a lot of fun too. But that was a little too much. I needed to quit that just to
Mm-hmm.
focus on the other two. But yeah, like I said, just like being a kid as long as you can. Something my dad always stresses. Um, like you're always going to want to go out to the blacktop and play pickup with your friends, or go play baseball or wiffle ball or something like that. So just kind of keeping that with me if I can.
Mm-hmm.
With baseball is a big thing.
Which kind of leads us into one of the bigger topics I want to touch up on, and that is your recruiting process. That's ultimately the big goal for you, and that's one of the biggest things for you happening right now. But kind of following off with this baseball and basketball conversation, you mentioned some coaches have brought that up to you. What programs are that, and what schools would be interested or even say you could play basketball and baseball at the school?
So a lot of the local schools like Boston College, they recruited me for baseball first, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they said they were open to it, and UConn said the same thing, and even Iowa had mentioned it because Coach McCaffrey's son is on the basketball and baseball team, so it's definitely possible there. But the funny thing is that I've had some calls with some baseball coaches, and they're like, I know you like basketball and all this stuff, but the rules are, um, if you go play both, you're on a basketball scholarship. And so the baseball coach can kind of get like a free pitcher
Yep.
in that sense, as far as, he doesn't need to give me any scholarship money. And so
Mhm.
I think what I've kind of said to coaches is like, I'm going to get recruited as a basketball player because that's like my top priority. And then once I find the right fit for that, I can always reach out to baseball coach and be like, hey, I'm a lefty pitcher. I really like baseball. I'm coming to play basketball. I'd like to, even if it was just like a walk-on situation, just to come try out, and he could check me out if I wasn't getting recruited by them. But I think that's a pretty cool thing, just kind of having like that scholarship, not dilemma, but like the
Mhm.
transformation of, getting recruited as a baseball player, but then having a scholarship as a basketball player. So
As you said, that your main priority is basketball, and let's kind of get into that. You have, I mentioned, a ton of offers on the table right now. From what you're hearing from, I know you can't necessarily directly talk to coaches. It's a little more complex right now until you next year, but what's these conversations looking like? Who you talking to the most? Who's showing most interest in you right now?
Yeah, right now, like you said, the rules kind of backtracked when I reclassed, but
Mhm.
Coach Sullivan at Worcester has been great in just kind of relaying their messages to me, and maybe they'll call him and I'll take the phone and talk to him. But right now, it's like I've talked to UConn a lot, Iowa, Providence, Miami a lot. I've been talking to Stanford a lot as well. Um, they haven't offered me yet, but it's definitely cool to just get to know them more, especially being out west. It's kind of hard to watch their games sometimes.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, but I'm Boston College. My whole family has a big history there. My grandfather played there. My great uncle was a coach there back in the day. So I've kind of always known that like they're interested, kind of in the backdoor sense, just because they're like 40 minutes away from my house. Um, yeah, but yeah, I would just say those schools right now.
That's a big appeal for a lot of guys. Following family traditions huge too, but also just staying close to home. Obviously, not too close where you're still living with family and all, but your family can come to games. They can check you out. You can still have a great relationship. How big an attraction appeal is that? Staying either not even necessarily BC, but any college really near home. How appealing is that to you?
Yeah, it's definitely an option. It's
Mhm.
pretty appealing. Like I said, I've had a lot of people just kind of just say like, "Hey, it'd always be cool if you went here, and I could come drive and watch you and stuff like that." Which is cool. It is cool to think about that, but I think for me, finding the best fit, no matter where it is in the country, is going to be my top priority. Whether it's 40 minutes away or whether it's all the way on the West Coast or maybe down south or something like that. Just finding the best fit. But it's easy to say that now, and then you get out there and you miss home and you wish you went somewhere else closer. So
Mhm.
um, things could change. But
One of those schools you mentioned is a program that maybe 2 or 3 years ago, some guys probably wouldn't be too appealed to, but right now, they're sitting at number three in the country. They have a guy that's going to win Wood in the year, and that's Iowa. It's also becoming a big, appealing, attracting program because of the success they've had right now. So, what do you like about Iowa? How much are they kind of valued more now because of how successful they are to you?
yeah, I think success is definitely like attracting kids to that school. But even back in the summer preseason, I kind of liked the way that they carry themselves. I had a couple Zoom calls with Coach McCaffrey, and they're really detailed program and detailed coaching staff. And they kind of walked me through like what my role would be, on that team and at that level. Because I think a lot of kids can get kind of trapped up in this. Oh, they're number three in the country, big time school. But in the end, it's like, what's your job going to be if you go to that school? Um, so I think I was just really impressed in how they kind of painted that picture for me, which is really cool. And then their assistant coach, Coach Eldridge, he's a Boston guy, and he recruits like a lot of kids in the area. Like one of my best friends, Desante Bowen. So I talked to him a lot, and just kind of he keeps it real with me, which I appreciate as well. Just kind of what the situation is out there, um, and what Iowa's like, because for a kid from Massachusetts, you kind of just think of Iowa as like cornfields out in the middle of nowhere. But then you go watch them play, and you're like, wow, this could be definitely a place where I'd want to go. So, but yeah, definitely, just seeing their success is cool to watch, because, like I said, I was talking with them before the season started, and they're really excited about the team they had. So just seeing it all work out has been pretty cool.
You mentioned something that is critical in anyone's recruiting process, and that's what the coach wants you to run. You mentioned Iowa kind of talked about that, but what kind of role do you want to have in college? What's kind of the ideal situation and fit for you?
Yeah, I mean, it could change a million times before I get there. But right now, like the position I want to play is what I've been working for. As far as watching like a guy like Duncan Robinson, who can kind of create shots through his team, and then mixing that with like, I don't know anyone like specific, but being able to create my own shots as well, is definitely like putting that maybe in like the three, like the wing spot, would be a good spot for me, I think. But anywhere where I feel confident, facing the rim, maybe even mix it up with my back to the basket, and then just having like almost like a green light to be able to just shoot and get into a rhythm during game would be big for me. Like I said, it can change a million times, and I'm a pretty flexible guy. Like I could go to campus thinking I'm going to be this, and I get put in this other position, this other role, and I just think I'll be able to adapt to it pretty well and just have a good attitude either way.
The last school I want to touch up on is UConn, and that's an incredible program, a very historic program, and they obviously have come back now, and they're playing the Big East, and there's a lot more hype around them. They have a lot of big-time recruits coming in 2021. But what's your vibe? What's the feeling you get about Coach Hurley and that coaching staff?
Yeah, I mean, UConn's definitely a great option. I've been talking to that coach for a while, Coach Moore, the assistant coach, so I've been in contact with the most. And one of the things he stresses is just that toughness that they have there at UConn. And I think that was like a big appeal for me as far as being from from Worcester and having that same toughness, and just knowing that it's appreciated at a place like UConn, was definitely big for me. But then just seeing how they play, and now they're moving to the Big East and they're being successful, and they have a lot of great athletes. But it's not only that, those athletes know how to play the game of basketball the right way. So just Coach Hurley doing what he does best, and just combining that toughness with the athleticism and the IQ that they have, and I think it's going to be something special once they start getting the season going.
Absolutely, man. Well, a few more things before I let you go. One of which is, as we mentioned now, you are a ranked player, you're a highly recruited player, you're well known now. That's going to also put a target on your back. When you guys step back on that court again, people will know you, they're going to game plan for you, and people want to go from your spot. How do you plan to deal with that? How do you kind of plan to play with that target on your back?
Yeah, no, I look forward to it personally. I've kind of my plans haven't changed as far as, like I said earlier, my plans haven't changed. I'm still going to be putting the work in every day. And just my goals, make it to the NBA. But maybe the way I look at my plans have changed. I used to be unranked with, I kind of had a mindset like, all right, these people don't know who I am. I got to go show them something. And now it's like I'm ranked with a target on my back. And then now I got to go show them that I mean it and I'm here for a reason. And then it's kind of cool, just like the stepping stones. Like when you're unranked, you look at the kids who are ranked and you're like, all right, I'm going to work to beat them. And now you're ranked and you look at the kids ahead of you on the list and you're like, I'm going to work to beat them. So I think there's always like a motivation. And that target on your back just pushes you to work harder because, every time you step in the court, you got to put on a show because people are expecting a lot. But I think the pressure, I think, people always talk like rankings just create problems for kids mentally, all that pressure. But in the game of basketball, especially now, I think you face more and more pressure, especially the places I want to go play at. So like being able to deal with that at a young age and just having the right people around me, I think is going to be another big thing.
Absolutely. And one last question I was like wrapping up with is discussing your legacy. And all guys want to create some kind of legacy when they're done playing basketball someday. So you just step away from the game someday. What do you ultimately want to be remembered for? What do you want your legacy to be? What you achieve both on and off the court?
Definitely. I think legacy is just an interesting thing to talk about with a high schooler because not a lot of kids have an opportunity to get interviewed and stuff like that. So just kind of using my platform for like the greater good, not just basketball, but like I said, I did the ASF challenge earlier in the fall, and just more opportunities like that. And then from a basketball standpoint, I just want all my work that I've put in to be worth something in the end. Whether it's I go to a Division I school or play in the NBA or play overseas or anything really. Just knowing that those days where maybe you don't go to a party and you go to the gym and you lift and you wake up at 5 a.m. to go get working, just to know that it was all worth it in the end would be the best reward for me. And maybe people won't know that legacy, but if I know it and if my family and the people around me know that this kid is like an example of someone that put in the work and it paid off, then I think I'll be happy with it.
Absolutely, man. Well, I definitely appreciate you taking time to come on today. And I look forward to see what God got next for you, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course, you're always welcome on, man. God bless.
Yep. Have a good one.